Man, it is going to be ugly. They're about to find out what happens to ratings when they lose the golden ticket.
The news of Caitlin Clark's injury sent shockwaves through the WNBA. Obviously, fans are upset, especially those who paid big bucks and now don't get to see her play. But for the old guard, it's their worst nightmare. Because even just a few weeks without Caitlin is going to expose everything they've been trying to suppress. In fact, it already has. The economic fallout has already been absolutely brutal. And now there's a new report that quantifies just how critical she is to the WNBA's success. Her estimated value to the league is absolutely staggering. Just wait until you see the numbers. We are about to witness the biggest serving of humble pie in sports history. As for Caitlin, there is not one but two silver linings from her injury that are going to set her up for even more success when she returns. Let's get into it. But first, like this video to wish Caitlin a speedy recovery, and subscribe for more fever updates.
Oh wow, this is not good. This is not good at all.
So first, let's quickly address the injury itself. It's a left quad strain that'll reportedly sideline her for at least 2 weeks. Part of the reason her injury was so shocking is because Caitlin, despite all the on-court abuse she takes, has been remarkably durable. Up until her injury, she had played in 185 consecutive regular season and playoff games, 139 with the Hawkeyes and 46 with the Fever. So this is new territory. Sure, injuries happen in sports, but when the face of the league is missing significant time, for the first time ever, fans are going to be concerned. The big question right now is, how serious is this? The 2+ week timeline suggests that it's a grade 1 strain, which would be the best case scenario for a quick and full recovery. But either way, she's likely going to miss at least 4 games, 2 against the Mystics, 1 against the Sun, and 1 against the Sky. As for the Sky game, it's going to be very interesting to see how many people show up at the 20,000-seat United Center now that Caitlin won't be playing. We're already seeing the fallout, and I'll touch on that in a minute. Now, of course, Caitlin's health is number one. But if you're a Fever fan, you probably want to know how this will impact the team. Well, here's your dose of optimism.
I do see these games against the Sun and against the Mystics and against the Sky as winnable games.
These next 4 games are still winnable for Indiana. Early in the season, before the schedule really ramps up. They're choosing to protect her now, while the risk is manageable, instead of pushing through and making things worse during a relatively low-stakes stretch. They did the same thing with Sophie Cunningham.
Put me sit on the sideline and talk. That's about all. I'm ready to play. She's out over there and just, I'm going crazy. Yes, she's going crazy. She makes, every 24 hours, she seems to make great progress. So we'll just, it's a long season. So we want to make sure that we're making the best long-term decisions.
Even though Sophie Cunningham was literally dancing in the background and looked like she was feeling fine, the Fever still kept her out. Why? Because the season is still young, and their priority is long-term health over short-term optics. Now, knowing that the Fever are big-picture thinkers, I think they rest her longer than 4 games. She's probably going to be out for at least 3 weeks. This is their superstar. They have a veteran supporting cast this year who can step up. The smart move is to make sure she's fully healed. But still, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Her bet for her to win MVP died. Yeah, being out. The mad thing is being out for 2 weeks basically means you can't win MVP in the WNBA. Like that is one of the shocking ones.
Many had predicted that Caitlin would be among the favorites to win the MVP this season, but being out for 4 to 6 games will seriously hurt her chances. Now, Caitlin has said many times that she only cares about winning. So while this is disappointing to fans, it's very much a sacrifice she'll feel comfortable making in order to play at full health when it matters. And as far as the long-term outlook goes, again, this doesn't appear to be a serious long-term injury.
This is nowhere near the level of an ACL injury, so she can come back and still be like the explosive playmaker, the explosive three-point shooter, the explosive player that she is.
While we're being told this isn't the same injury that hampered her during training camp, it's possible that Caitlin, being a competitor, was playing through the quad pain, and it finally got to the point where she needed to take time off. If she was putting up solid performances on a bummed leg, just imagine her at full health. This is the first silver lining. She's likely going to come back better. I mean, she's already out there shooting threes in practice. From what we're seeing, this is far from a doomsday scenario for Caitlin. It's a speed bump. Now, to understand the second silver lining, we have to look at the broader impact of her injury and why the WNBA is in panic mode.
I'm just going to say I feel terrible for those fans that spent so much money, either home or away, to go see Caitlin Clark, because for those fans, this freaking sucks.
The WNBA, for the first time, is about to get a taste of life without Caitlin Clark. And it's not going to be pretty. Let's start with this. She's almost certainly going to miss the June 7th game against the Sky. And if you remember, that game was moved from Wintrust Arena to the United Center, which is literally twice the size, just to accommodate the demand for Fever games. But let's be honest, this move wasn't about Indiana, it was about Caitlin.
I wonder how many fans are not going to show up. I reckon maybe 4,000 or 5,000 will show up. I reckon it'll be 2/3 full.
With Caitlin Clark out of the lineup, the big question is whether or not fans will show up. Well, within hours of the news, fans are already liquidating their tickets.
And I genuinely think we could be looking at not half full. It's not going to be half full. We could be looking at 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 spare seats. I wonder what price tickets are now.
Indiana Fever ticket prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42%, an average ticket price of $137, all the way down to $80. When it comes to the Chicago Sky game, that is the marquee matchup in the WNBA, and those tickets are crashing just as well. From $86 48 hours ago to $25.
But the thing everyone will be watching just as closely broke.
Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA we knew was going to be big. We now have an idea of how big.
The same analyst who reported that Caitlin Clark was responsible for 26.5% of the WNBA's total economic activity in 2024 just released a new report on her impact in 2025, and the numbers are absolutely astounding. They don't just confirm her importance to the league, they blow it wide open. We're talking about one player whose presence is literally reshaping the entire business model of the WNBA. Ryan Brewer, a valuation expert who's been closely tracking the WNBA's growth, just said that Caitlin Clark's value to the league this year could exceed $1 billion, and that's likely a conservative estimate.
If things just go as they were, I'm looking at $875 million, Brewer said to NBC News about Clark's potential monetary value for this season, for the 2025 season. Quote, and I could easily see that eclipsing $1 billion.
Let that sink in. One player, potentially driving over $1 billion in economic impact. The analysis takes into account everything: TV viewership, ticket sales, merchandise, sponsorships, social media engagement, and it all leads to one undeniable conclusion. Caitlin Clark is the single biggest financial driver of the WNBA. Not one of the drivers, the driver.
While Clark's popularity has aided the entire league, she's still one of one. As Media Sports Watch noted, 24 WNBA broadcasts garnered 1 million TV viewers. 21 of them included Caitlin Clark.
Now, the reason is simple, and it's exactly why the WNBA is shaking right now, because they're about to get a microdose of what life looks like without Caitlin Clark. She's the crossover star the league has been chasing for decades. She's the one who brings in the casuals. And now, the analysis proves it.
She particularly is the one who's driving a new kind of demographic that is reaching new kinds of people from the traditional WNBA fan base, that is causing the growth rate and also accelerating interest in corporate sponsorships.
Now, this is a lot like what happened with Tiger Woods in the 1990s. When he burst onto the scene, he brought a level of athleticism, charisma, and dominance that the sport had never seen. His historic win at the 1997 Masters, becoming the first black golfer to win the tournament, and doing it by a record-shattering margin, drew massive global attention and signaled a brand new era for golf. Television ratings skyrocketed, and whenever Tiger was in contention, ratings often doubled. He wasn't just a star, he was the reason casual viewers tuned in. He took golf from a niche country club sport and turned it into a global spectator event. And the money followed. PGA Tour prize money tripled in just a few years as sponsors and advertisers flooded in to capitalize on the Tiger effect. Golfers across the board started earning way more, not because they got better, but because Tiger made golf matter. And now, that's exactly what Caitlin Clark is doing for the WNBA. I mean, just look at the revenue impact from her exhibition game against Brazil.
The average reported ticket price was $650. Now, if you do the math here and you do 15,000 people times $650, that is almost $9.75 million just for a WNBA preseason game.
And that's just one game. Now we're starting to see real reports come out about how she's impacted the Fever organization in just a single season. And it is absolutely insane.
All of this is good news for the Fever, which Sportico reported last year was worth $90 million. Brewer told the Star he believes the franchise is now worth $340 million.
She quadrupled the entire value of a professional sports franchise in less than a year. And honestly, you have to wonder, why haven't the Fever made her a part owner yet? Anyway, when you add it all up, you can start to see why the WNBA is in panic mode. They're about to get a small, painful taste of what life looks like without Caitlin Clark. And honestly, it's a much-needed reality check.
WNBA players weirdly have been fighting growth. Stop fighting the truth. Get out of your own way. It is a bad look. She is a fascinating player, and it must be exhausting hating new, cool things.
Despite the overwhelming positive impact Caitlin Clark has had on the WNBA and on every single player's earning potential and visibility, the league has still shown resistance. We thought things were starting to get better. There was a moment of hope when some of the biggest legends in the game started speaking up in support of Caitlin, recognizing what she means not just to the Fever, but to the entire league.
Have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games?
One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing. A beast. She is the truth. She's the truth, and she was a rookie.
But even with those voices backing her, the resistance hasn't fully gone away.
Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you too. A year later, do you feel like you're
Next question.
Yeah. The haters still don't want to address it, but the truth is, a lot of them are still bitter about Caitlin's rise and overwhelming popularity. You still have the bitter clingers, holding on to the idea that they were the reason for the league's growth, trying to rewrite the narrative. Even Nafisa Collier publicly voiced her frustration that Caitlin was getting more nationally televised games.
Well, obviously Indiana, especially like with their free agents, they're gonna be a great team. But to not have the defending champs on TV more, I think it's kind of crazy.
And worse, the media is still disparaging her fans. There's still this tired narrative floating around that Indianapolis is somehow unsafe and that it's because of her fans being hateful or toxic. It still feels like some players and media voices would rather fail without her than succeed with her.
There are literally players in the league that would rather burn down the league than have it succeed with Caitlin Clark in the league. They would rather burn it down, and that is you know that's the case. You know it's the case. I don't even have to say which players. You know that's the case.
But now, they're about to find out the hard truth. All that leverage they think they have, it's nothing without Caitlin Clark. Sure, it's a small sample size. She'll be out a couple of weeks. But sometimes, that's all it takes for the cracks to show. The league still needs a wake-up call. And honestly, it would be vindication for Caitlin Clark and her fans. Not that they should need it at this point, the proof is already overwhelming, but clearly some people still don't get it. So maybe, just maybe, the league needs to feel the dip. Needs to see the numbers crater, needs to watch those empty seats and plummeting ratings. And maybe, just maybe, they'll finally clean up the officiating while they're at it. Because, let's be real, it's been incredibly one-sided, and fans are done pretending otherwise.
Another year and another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
Teams have been allowed to take liberties against Caitlin Clark all season, and it finally reached a boiling point in the game against the Liberty. The physicality, the no calls, the blatant disregard for protecting the league's biggest star, it all came to a head.
But I will just say the lopsided officiating was absolutely insane.
It was one of the worst referee games I've seen.
It got to the point where Stephanie White, the head coach of the Fever, had to publicly call out the officiating.
I thought she got fouled. You know, I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable.
When a coach is forced to speak out like that, you know it's gone too far. And bringing this back to the bigger picture, if it continues to go too far, it doesn't just hurt Caitlin. It puts the entire league at risk. And maybe it already has.
But if anything, this should be a lesson to the league and a lesson to the officiating, because the amount of contact that is allowed without a foul call and the amount of physicality that Caitlin Clark has to battle through being double teamed and triple teamed, and honestly, it's mostly just not being called for these fouls, needs to be assessed. Caitlin Clark is the league's star player, whether you like it or not.
A serious injury would crush all the progress the WNBA has made, all the momentum, all the new fans, all the sponsorships, everything the players say they want.
I just hope she doesn't get injured by all these fouls. She's already injured. How devastating. Any injury that gets her actually taken out of a regular season game, how much money in loss is that for the league?
And that brings us back to where we are right now. Now we know exactly how much Caitlin Clark is worth, and now she's out. We're about to find out just how real her impact is. And maybe, just maybe, it'll finally be enough to make the refs, the WNBA leadership, and even some of the players wake up. Because without Caitlin Clark, this league drops right back out of the mainstream. The buzz disappears, the money slows down, the momentum stalls. This might be the wake-up call they didn't want, but absolutely needed, and the ultimate silver lining for Caitlin Clark. She's about to become more relevant, more powerful, and hopefully more protected. If you're still here, drop a goat in the comments, because that's exactly what you are for watching the whole thing. See you next time.